I think. So I thought, all right, they can wait us out. They can also drive us batshit crazy. Because if you're under siege and all you hear are those moans, whoa. Day in, day out, as your food and water runs out. Because to me, and this goes to slow versus fast zombies, there's two theories behind it. One is that slow zombies are based on the hypothetical biomechanical functions of necrotic flesh under mobile pressure. And fast zombies suck. Anyway. But the truth is there's a psychological difference. It's a difference between fear and anxiety. It's a difference, I always say, between skydiving and scuba diving. I've done both once. And like I went skydiving and the whole time you're like, ah! Bam! Land on your ass. Wow, I'm alive. Done. Fear. Adrenaline. In your face. Death. Life. Scuba diving is not fear. Scuba diving is anxiety. Because fear is a threat. Anxiety is thinking about the potential threat. So, in fast zombies, you're dead before you know it. Slow zombies, you're thinking, like scuba diving. You go, I could run out of air. I could be eaten by a shark. I might have AIDS and not know it. Thinking. Anxiety, and that's what the slow zombie is to me. It's anxiety, it's being under siege. So I thought, all right, if I'm in a house and it's under siege, what would I need? And I went through, and I did cheat here because I'm from Southern California, so theoretically we're all supposed to be prepared for earthquakes, even though 99% of us aren't. But I grew up with that. That's my life. You know, like after 9/11, New Yorkers are like, oh, I'm prepared, I'm part of the CERT team. Fuck you. I have lived on the edge of the apocalypse since I was 2. Because in Southern California, we plan as individuals, but as a government, we plan for nothing. Every 2 years, fires come and burn up half the state. Every 2 years. And every 2 years, there's a government official who's like, oh yeah, wow, we didn't see that coming. We had no idea. We know there's an earthquake coming. We're all theoretically ready for it. So I grew up ready. I grew up with an earthquake kit where we had to replenish it every couple of months, and we had to do earthquake drills. So it really wasn't that much of a jump for me psychologically to say, well, if your house is under siege, what do you need? What do you need to prepare? Food, water, all that stuff. So that's what I thought about for bunkering. And I thought, well, you wouldn't want to be in a physical bunker underground, because they're above you. Then they make you trapped like a rat. What are you going to do? So I thought, details, details. Get up high. And then you got to escape. Where do you go? Remember in Day of the Dead, when the dude's like, why don't we just go live on an island somewheres? Well, that's a great idea in a movie, but in real life, everybody's going to think that. And that's what we like to call first thought, which is first thing that pops into your head. And I think, well, wait a minute, everybody's going to think, let's go to a tropical island. Those islands are going to get just devoured by refugees really, really quickly. So I thought, all right, you have to go somewhere where there's no one. You have to go to Svalbard, or the Sahara, or the Amazon. Because look, if you look at a map of the world and find America on it, which means you're ahead of the national curve, and you look at where the people are there because it's good living. There's good land, there's good climate, there's a reason for people to settle there. Then you look at the parts of the planet that are depopulated. And you say, well, there's a reason for that too. And the reason is that the environment is really, really harsh. And it will kill you a lot faster than any zombie. Did anybody here read the book or see the movie Into the Wild? Right, okay. Who hasn't? Raise your hand and be honest. Okay, no, that's cool. For those of you who haven't, it's a story of a loser who goes to the wilderness and dies. The end. Because it's true. He was like, I'm young and strong and I'm going to take on the world. And the world was like, no, you won't. Bump. There's a scene in the movie where he's asking advice from Vince Vaughn, you know, who wouldn't? And he says, I want to get away from society. This is society, I want to get away. And then, like, it's horrible, this horrible ass word, society. Forgetting, of course, the reason we have a society is so we wouldn't have to live in the wilderness. Because the wilderness is really brutal, and it will kill you really fast. And what I learned from that story is that if you are going to survive in a zombie plague or anywhere, is that you can't survive your way. And this is what kills people. This is what has been killing people for thousands of years. History majors or historians will tell you about a time in our history called the 19th century. And the 19th century was filled with white men who went around the world to discover where people already lived. And they died. Because they tried to do it their way. They tried to do it as English gentlemen. They would go up to the Arctic and they would say, oh, hello, little Eskimo, Inuit, whatever. And they're so primitive with sealskins. And then they would walk past them and not ask, oh, how are you surviving? Because they didn't care. They'd do it their way. And then a week later, they were eating their own toes. And that was the thing, was, look, there's many things I would want in a zombie plague. My favorite melee weapon of all time is the assegai, which is a short stabbing Zulu spear. That and the shield. I've been to South Africa. Wow. Like, if I'm going up against an orc, that's all I want. But I'm not going up against an orc, because orcs aren't real. If I'm going up against a zombie, I want a machete or a crowbar. I'm really big on the crowbar. I talk about the Zombie Survival Guide, a whole paragraph about it. Because the crowbar is also useful. You know what I mean? This is very important, is you want to think multi-use. You want to think about all the situations, not just when you're actually in combat. You want to think, I got to pry open a door, you know, there's a lot I need. So, crowbar, it's meant to be used. So these are the things I thought of when I did Zombie Survival Guide. Some people like it. Some people, for some reason, think that I don't ever get laid. I got a girlfriend before I got published. Ha! And I'm married. Ha! And that's my book. And then I wrote World War Z, or if you're Canadian, World War Z. I wanted to see the stories from the back of I also wrote in the back of Zombie Survival Guide these recorded attacks, because before anything, I'm a history nerd. I know, it's really nerdy. And I wanted to write about zombie attacks throughout history, because I also wanted to show what civilizations would survive and what wouldn't. Because the truth is, as much as, you know, look, we're America. We love the individual. It's the cult of the individual. It's me, it's Rambo, right? Rambo. He can do anything, because he's got a big gun and no shirt. But the truth is, in real life, that's not how we've survived and triumphed as a species. All right? Rambo was never in the shower, to my knowledge, and reached down and felt a lump. Because if he did, that's one thing Rambo can't sew up on his own. Rambo needs a specialist. And that's how we've survived, by specialization. What we do is, people in a tribe all learn to do one thing really well, and we all work together. Dun, 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 and that's it. One guy was like, I didn't know that theme. Yes. Voltron. Anyway. It's all right. I'm with you. Specialization. That's how we've survived. That's why we're sitting here in an artificial environment, and the saber-toothed cat and the short-faced bear can suck it. She just got that. Ah! They can suck it! Ah! Yes! I think about this way too much. So that is the story of the Zombie Survival Guide. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask.